Hi, this is Charu,
And this is Hannah.
and welcome to episode 1 of Rewrite the Times, where we will be talking about the who, what, and why of our podcast.
All right, let's just hop right in and introduce ourselves.
All right, so I'm Charu. I am a junior biochemistry major with the hopes of becoming a medical researcher in the near future, or maybe a professor. We're not sure yet. Um, I enjoy all things art, music, books, anything creative. And I'm super excited to be here with Hannah hosting this podcast.
Yay, me too. I'm actually really excited. So I'm Hannah. I'm also a junior in college. I am majoring in speech language pathology and child learning development with the hopes of becoming a speech language pathologist in the schools district in an elementary school. Yes, I really love kids. What else? I am very music oriented. Is that yeah?
Yeah.
Very music oriented. I like a lot of different genres of music. And just like Charo, I like to think that I'm creative. I don't know if I'm creative.
You are.
Um, yeah, so Charo's actually inspired me to start painting and getting into all of that. And yeah, I just love music. I love to sing, play guitar a little bit, and play some chords around on the piano, and make playlists on my Spotify. I have like 10 jillion playlists. What else am I interested in? Yeah.
Hosting this podcast.
Yes. I am really excited about this podcast and where it leads us. So, yeah. So, that's all about me and Charu. So, why did we start a podcast?
So, yeah, that's a good question. Um, our main goal with this podcast is to try to provide some insight into our lives as students in the 21st century and share our experiences with the younger generations who will be in the same boat as us either next year or 5 years down the line. We don't know. But we just wanted to have a platform where we can talk about things that we don't normally discuss on our own and really make it a point to dive deep into what we've learned and what we've experienced over the years.
Yeah. I realized that a lot of our conversations, we would talk about these things, but we wouldn't talk about them in detail as much. And we wouldn't, like, it's not a organized or cohesive thought. It's just, we just talk about it as friends,
Yeah.
and yeah, so another part or another factor into this podcast is giving us more time where we can talk to one another and actually pick each other's brains of our different experiences and um, yeah, just go deeper in conversation. Not that our conversations weren't deep in the first place, but go even deeper.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we, in our normal conversations, we tend to jump from topic to topic and we will cover several different topics within the span of like 15, 20 minutes. But even though we hit a lot of the deeper points, we don't really spend too much time discussing them. So through the podcast, we hope that, by focusing on one particular topic per episode, we can really go deep down into what we were feeling and what we were thinking back in the day, or what we are feeling about it now, and just really pull it all together and rack our brains because we don't do that enough. Um, Also, with quarantine and everything, it's
oh yeah.
a good way for us to really spend dedicated time to talk to each other, because that is something that I think we've all been craving, that need for some interaction. And I think this was one way to ensure that we didn't lose track of each other and actually like kept tabs. So yeah.
Yeah. Especially for me, like I'm I'm not an extrovert, but I'm not an introvert. I'm the ambivert where like I realized how much I kind of like desired people and interaction, not just like a simple text, that too. And like having a face-to-face conversation too, how much that has, like I've realized how the weight of that even during this quarantine, because we've missed it basically, because like
Yeah.
we don't really have that much. So, and being ambivert, I still really enjoy this time where I have time to myself. I'm like watching like 5 bajillion shows, but yeah. So
Yeah. Hannah's been watching your TV shows. I've been reading 5 bajillion books. But yeah, I also agree that I'm an ambivert. I like having my alone time, but I also really do need that social interaction with friends, be able to meet up with people that aren't my direct family, get out of the house a little. It's been challenging, but you know, we've made it work by having nightly calls with at least a friend, you know, every so often. So it's been good. But I'm excited to do this podcast and really have conversations that aren't just about academics and school and homework.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess from there we can go on to what can we expect, or what can the listeners expect from our podcast?
Okay, yeah. So some things that can be expected is just me and Charu having good conversations about our past and our present, such as like our times in high school and our friendship and all the advice that we have gotten and all the advice that we can give and all the um, thoughts that we have on a lot of our experiences, and just good conversations about life and whatever life has given us. So,
Yes, for sure, for sure. Also, Hannah and I, we are very giggly people.
oh
So
yeah.
we end up laughing a lot. So yeah, expect a lot of laughs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, laughter from us, but
From
you guys
us,
don't have to
yes.
laugh.
Yeah. I wouldn't really call myself a very funny person, so I don't know how humorous these podcasts will be.
Me too.
But we laugh with each other quite a bit. So
yeah.
yeah.
I laugh at like the simplest things too. It's yeah.
Yeah. It's the simple things in life that bring all the joy, you know.
Yeah, basically. So, I guess to further explain our podcast, why the title? I often ask myself that too. Why did we pick this title?
So yeah, we spent a good amount of time trying to come up with a title that really embodied our interests, our personalities, and also what we wanted to um, bring to the table with this podcast. And so we came up with Rewrite the Times, because primarily we are obsessed with musicals. And Rewrite the Stars is one of my favorite songs from The Greatest Showman. And I think it dawned on me that, you know, we want to discuss, or at least for me, I want to discuss what we have gone through in the past, and not really rewrite them in the sense of change what's happened, but really change how I've thought about my past experiences. Because from what I can imagine, my high school, like, yeah, things were difficult.
Mhm.
Now looking back on them, like, I'm glad that those things happened, and I'm glad, and I
Mm.
can now see high school in a different light.
Mhm.
And so I want to kind of rewrite my mindset towards
Mm.
high school and towards what I've experienced.
Mm.
So that's what the title kind of means to me.
Nicely put. Yeah, for me, it's I see it how Charu is explaining it, but also along the lines of it is sort of like a time capsule for us. Like we're creating a time capsule of our lives with talking about our past and talking about our present right now. And then later on, that would become the past. So it'll be very cool to see, like, looking back, like listening back to it. It'll be really cool to see, like, how our thought processes have changed from time to time. Like, my my thoughts on like what we're going through now would be very different in like a year or two when we're reflecting on it again. So yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
really interesting to see how like this like becomes a time capsule for us. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think the time capsule also reminds me of one of the Parks and Rec episodes where
Oh
they
yeah.
um, create a time capsule of what their town meant at that particular moment. And they have like a whole debate of what goes in. And
Yeah.
then they end up just putting in a video clip of that town hall meeting that they had. And that's kind of what we're doing here, just in the form of podcast episodes. So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a wow. I
I have
didn't think
watched
of that.
Parks and Rec 7 times. So, yeah, all the way through. Um,
I
yeah,
only pick and choose my favorite episodes.
it's
Uh,
just a great lunchtime show, you
it
know?
is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a little bit about our podcast, why we started it, what we hope to uh, provide to our listeners. Um, but we also kind of wanted to go into more details about us as two friends who met way back in high school and kind of um, relive those first few memories or the earliest memories that we have of each
Remember.
other.
Yeah.
Because I personally just kind of feel like I just became friends with Hannah and like
Yeah.
didn't have like that one groundbreaking moment when I was like, wow, that is Hannah and she just kind of gradually happened. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think like we didn't really have that like what is it called? Like a trial period, I guess. Like a trial
yeah,
like do I is she my friend? Yeah, I
yeah,
don't think we had that. I think like for me personally, I think it was just more of I wanted to make friends, so I was like um I was very open
mhm,
to um people, I guess. And I didn't want other people to feel awkward around me. Especially since it was our first year, our freshman year in high school. So a lot of people don't know a lot of people yet because it was what, three schools? Two middle schools?
two middle schools
Yeah,
that
two
fed
main
in.
middle schools that fed into our, is it junior high? Ninth and 10th
Yeah,
grade.
it's ninth and 10th grade, so junior high, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had also just moved from India. This was my first time being in um, this community and so I for sure was just trying to make as many acquaintances or friends as I possibly could.
Hmm.
And we I believe I think our first and or like our only class that we had together our freshman year was our English class.
Mm-hmm.
And I had we made like a big group of just us gals and we kind of hung out and we just got closer over the years and yeah, we're here now.
Was English the only class we had? together?
In freshman year, I think so.
How about 10th, 11th, 12th?
10th, we had 10th, we didn't have anything together, but we shared a teacher.
Teacher, yeah.
11th, no, I think that was
I
the
don't
only class that
think.
we ever had together. Yeah.
Wait, wait, whoa. I never. Huh.
Interesting.
But we had lunches together.
We
That's what
had
I
lunch.
think.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's so strange. I didn't even think about that. Did we just,
What?
wow.
That has never crossed my mind until today. What? That's so. Wow.
Oh, that's so strange. Wow.
Wait, really?
High school
Wait,
was a weird time.
what? I don't believe this. Wait, what the heck?
Because we always had the same, we had like several times where we had the same teacher, but just different class periods, because that happened with bio as well.
Yeah.
AP bio.
Oh. Wow. What a
Wow.
epiphany
What are
or
the
a
odds?
yeah.
Because like now with like in college, if I don't have it's so much harder to keep a friendship when you don't have classes or similar classes with each other. Because I've made so many acquaintances every semester in each of my classes, but just completely lost track of them after that semester was over.
Yeah.
There are a few people that I've really connected with and like kept in touch with over the years, but like there are probably so many people that I met my freshman year of college that I just don't talk to anymore.
Yeah.
And that's so strange that we had one class together. And yeah, we had lunch every single year. Like we would make it a point to kind of sit together, but that's so interesting.
Yeah, wow. I think for me, like, yeah, I kind of see that in my life. Like I only have like from college, like only a handful of really close friends, but they aren't from classes. Like some may share the same classes, some may share the same major as me, but it's not through classes.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see like me and you and I, like we don't, our majors are two completely separate things.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
Yeah, in some ways they can relate, but they're two completely different things. Yeah, like our conversations, that's why I'm really glad. Like our conversations aren't centered around school, because if it was centered around school and classes, like there won't be much to our friendship, and I feel like we would have like drifted away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be acquaintances and just be like, oh, how are you? Like, oh, like school's doing, yeah.
Right. I think having met you in high school, like we already we were like past that awkward stage of what can I talk about with this person?
Yeah.
Because I can say any random thing to you and you will carry the conversation. And I don't really have to filter myself around you. But I feel like if we had somehow met for the first time in college, our friendship, I feel like, would have been different because we would have had that initial barrier.
Yeah.
Since one, our classes are not similar, our majors aren't similar. Yes, they're both science STEM majors, but our goals with them and what we want to take out of our majors are slightly different. And I think it would have been a lot harder. And like, yes, we share similar interests, but I feel like we also have very differing, I don't want to say personalities, but
yeah,
I
think that,
like,
yeah,
maybe personalities. But yeah, I wonder what it would have been like had I not met you in high school.
Yeah, because we are like in college, we are involved in, or well, even in high school, like we both were involved in very different things, right? Like for me, it was, what was it? It was
choir,
choir, our clinical rotations program. What else? Out of school was also choir and my youth group at church and work, teaching swimming and all these things that
Yeah,
that you and I don't share.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And even
And
now, like in the organizations I'm in, like I'm kind of involved in our photography club, not really.
yeah,
I
I went
paid
to
my
that one meeting.
yeah. um yeah, and my our campus ministry on our college intervarsity and in my research lab and all that, but it's very
Yeah,
different from what you're involved in.
right.
So,
Yeah, because I'm vice president of another club and doing, I'm also doing research, but it's like completely different research from what
yeah.
you're doing. And even in high school, I was the orchestra kid. And yeah, it's really interesting
Yeah.
how different lives we led, but somehow still managed to carry a friendship
Mhm.
since
Yeah.
freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I think it takes like intentionality on both parts. I'm not really good at being intentional. That's something that I learned, especially during quarantine. It's really hard for me to be intentional with like in reaching out. But I think like for you, personality wise, I think you are very intentional. So I think it takes one who is willing to be intentional and one who tries to be intentional. I
I think
try, I think.
yes. Oh my God, yes, of course. Because I think honestly, like for a good while, like I think I feel like up until midway through quarantine, I tend to be the one who was always reaching out,
Mhm.
um, just out of the blue, just randomly texting, asking to meet for lunch, etc., etc. And this isn't like faulting anyone,
Mhm.
because some people just, either they're hesitant to reach out or they're too busy. It's fine. I'm not blaming anyone for that.
Mhm.
I just happen to be that person who's always reaching out to people. But then quarantine hit, and then I just kind of stopped doing
Mm.
that in a sense. I started like reaching out less, which should not have been the case because quarantine should have been the time that I was reaching out more.
Mm. Yeah.
But I think I just felt, I mean, yeah, everyone's feeling lonely. I don't know. I guess I didn't really feel like talking to people as much, but I know like this past semester was extremely busy for me.
Mhm.
And I just kind of stopped talking to people
Mm.
aside from like the one person I would call every single night because we shared a class together
Mhm.
that was absolute, uh, it was just rough. And we would spend like 4 hours every single night almost just crying over lab reports and things. Um, but I think during the semester, like you were the one who was reaching out more and just making sure that I was okay.
Did
And I
I think it was
appreciate
more of a
that.
mutual thing.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like you were almost always the one initiating that conversation.
Mm.
I mean, of course, I would carry the conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it takes at least one person to be willing to keep the friendship going,
Yeah.
and both sides of the friendship need to want to keep it going
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think it's also like the conversations we had too, like and especially like when we first became friends, like in high school I was really craving or to this day like I crave deep conversations and not just conversations about school and like conversations about like grades, classes and all of that. And I think I found that when like within our high school community at school um because like you and our couple other friends, like we didn't really talk about school a lot. Or
no,
we would have talked about school, but we didn't talk about like content wise. It was just more of like our life during school,
yeah,
like our
yeah,
thoughts and feelings, and not just oh I got this grade or oh can you help me with homework? I mean, well, like we helped each
We
other with
had
homework.
those, yeah.
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 But it wasn't mainly that, and we talked about life and stories and a lot of things.
Drama.
Yeah. So I think that's what like was really foundational to our friendship is just having those deep conversations because yeah, I wouldn't have stayed or I wouldn't be around if it was just not like life-giving conversations at all. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, because I don't remember if our conversations were very introspective in high school because I think from what I remember, a lot of our conversations were, yes, life of being a high school student was a conversation in and itself, besides like the school and the academic side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But we just had lots of crazy moments that we just kind of, bonded over.
Yeah.
Hannah has well, she's not as picky anymore, but she used to eat these like breadsticks with
Oh my.
a fork, or like goldfish with a spoon, or like chips with a fork. And I remember pointing that out because I'm like, who does that? Who does that?
Yeah, that's like
I realized, yes, Hannah does.
yeah, that's like a kind of like a defining moment of our friendship, I guess, or like one of the more momentous or like momentous occasions because it would happen a lot because I would always not want to use my hands because I'm scared that I had germs on my hands or if I didn't like wash my hands correctly, and I was a really big germaphobe. I still am, but not as much. I eat goldfish in my hands now and all that. But like who knows? Like maybe your lunch table chair has like germs, right? You never know.
Yeah.
So yeah, y'all would always like point that out and be really like intrigued by it and like laugh about it a lot. And I would laugh about it too, because like I never noticed that that's something that's not normal to do. Um yeah, so that's like a memory of our friendships that or our friendship that I have. Um yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That, and we would just, I mean, yeah, I think our lunch memories are like some of my favorite because
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have any classes together, so we
Yeah.
really only saw each other during lunch.
Yeah, and that's like
And
yeah.
so our lunch conversations, I'm not sure that I remember very clearly what we talked about, but for sure they were not just about, oh, what grade did you get in this class? What grade did you get on this test? Because I used to be that kid, but then Hannah really kicked that out of me my freshman year because she just got really frustrated with me. She was like, just stop talking about your grades for a second. I'm like, okay. And
I
then I
didn't say it
stopped.
that way.
She didn't say it that way, but like, that's she very nicely put it.
I hope it was nicely put.
But whatever it was, it worked, and I realized that that grades, they don't really matter. They do, but they don't.
Yeah, we'll go deeper into that in a
Their
different
episode, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Yeah, we used like besides lunch, like it was a lot of like classroom moments too. Like a lot of like I think our English teacher helped in pitting us together, or not pitting because it's like against each other, but like
bringing us
together more because he noticed that like we can work well together and we can like add discussion to class. So like I think our teacher had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it helped that the way that semester or that year was, we had we would have lunch together, then we would have study hall, and then we would have our English class.
Yeah.
And our study hall was in the same class that we had our English class in. So you, me, and like the rest of our like English squad, we would all just come together at like one or two tables and just pull all our chairs around and just be obnoxious high schoolers.
Uh,
Even though we were supposed to be like quietly studying or like reading a book, but we were
Yeah.
like, nah, we're going to
Yeah.
be loud.
I'm glad that our English teacher was chill because I think if he wasn't chill, then I think that would put a what's the term?
A damper.
Yeah, to our mood, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we really appreciate that teacher. Like,
Yes.
yeah, we all miss him.
I know. Yeah. We should go back
Yeah.
and visit some point.
Yes, I want to.
Yeah. But yeah, that class had some of my favorite memories of high school.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't directly involved with some of those moments.
Like me and this other guy, we peeked at our teacher's computer and he was shopping for shoes, I think, like fancy shoes, and we were supposed to be reading a book, and he caught us looking because like me and him, we were just like giggling in the corner and just like laughing because like we keep seeing his computer. And then our other friend, she like told us to be quiet and like not even say anything, and to stop laughing. But then our teacher figured out what we were doing. So funny.
Yeah. So those were some good moments. And then we ended up doing like a Secret Santa with our friend group from that English class.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a good year. That
Yeah.
class, yeah, it was a good year. And we kept the friendship going. We met up outside of school,
Mhm.
watched movies, ate pizza, all the things. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, we hung out. We didn't hang out much out of school besides like we went to prom as a friend group. Oh, well, we didn't really go to prom because we didn't go to
The dance.
school. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just called it prom because it was the same day and we were taking pictures where a lot of people were taking pictures. We dressed fancy and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, our other time was like sophomore year, I think, when we went over to my house and we watched like 2 movies. And
But yeah, I think even though we haven't really hung out much, I guess the latest time that we hung out, you came over to my house and we had a little arts and crafts session.
Yeah.
And we both just sat and painted together while watching episodes of Parks and Rec.
Yeah. And that's what inspired me to start like pick up painting. So like when quarantine started, I went out and bought like 10 canvases and bought acrylic paint and paintbrushes just to start painting. And I got to paint some signs for my sister's bridal shower party, and that was of course socially distanced. And like paint a sign for someone who needed one to give to someone as a Christmas present. So like, yeah, Charo has inspired me to pick up painting.
Thank you. But yeah, Hannah's been a good friend. It's been a good 7.
Wait, okay, 9th?
Almost 7, 6.5, because we would have met 2014 August.
Yes.
So 7.5. Wait.
6.5.
I'm math? 6.5. I can't math. That's why I'm not a math major.
Me neither. The last math class I had was freshman year, college algebra. That was it.
Oh, nice. Good for you. I had to take multivariable calc. So.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Calc is not fun.
Yeah, I hated that class in high school. I did not understand anything. I barely passed.
I still don't understand anything, so hey. That's our friendship for y'all.
Yeah, so this wraps up our episode for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed listening, and thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, catch y'all in 2 weeks where we will be, we don't know what we're going to be talking about just yet, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. All right,
bye. If you have any questions for us, email us at rewritethetimespodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Rewrite the Times.